Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. We run it from Silicon Valley, but entrepreneurs are all over the world are participating in these sessions for many, many, many years. This is our 708th free mentoring roundtable. We've been doing this since the fall of 2008, and it started with an experiment, then blossomed into the full-fledged 1M program, and over 300,000 people have participated. It's a very comprehensive, long-standing program. All recordings are available on YouTube. Recently, we took all the recordings of our mentoring sessions and trained up an AI mentor, which is, as you can imagine, those who fiddle around with AI, it's a RAG on top of ChatGPT that has taken all my writings, all my mentoring sessions, all my content, curriculum, case studies, everything, and turned it into my digital mind. So you can definitely use that as well at your own on your own schedule, at your own time. Whenever you want private, completely private one-on-one, these sessions are not private. There are 3 free messages that you can get started with. And then after that, it's very affordable, $30 a month. Okay, we are going to start with Yanev Suissa from SineWave Ventures. Yanev has been here before. Attendees who come here or participants who come here regularly, that we always have or often have investor guests who provide context and overviews of what's happening in the industry, as well as sometimes mentor entrepreneurs at these sessions with me. So Yanev, welcome back. Great to see you again. And
it's good to see you too. Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, well, tell me what's been going on and how are you parsing what's happening around us?
Things are moving so much faster these days. You see startups are growing faster. What is needed by businesses is changing faster. The tech is moving faster. I think the outcomes are bigger also, which is exciting. And the industry has really changed, both the venture industry and the tech industry. So we are staying on top of things. We're very thesis driven at SineWave. And so our thesis has been pretty consistent where things are going. So I'm happy about that. And we're going to stay focused on, what's new and exciting and coming down the pipe.
Let me start double clicking down on that overview. And first thing to touch base on is, how do you see the changes in the venture capital industry? How is venture changing?
Yeah, so I think you've had, we've always had those big funds. Like, as you know, Ram and I came from NEA before starting SineWave. There's, Andreessen, Greylock, Excel, Sequoia. These funds have, and they admittedly so I hope I'm not putting words in their mouths, I'm taking words from their mouths, have become a little less like venture funds, right? They're more asset managers. Like General Catalyst even filed recently as an asset manager. And so they're taking lots of capital in big chunks, investing it very quickly. So like $10, $15 billion funds that they're investing in a year or two's time in companies at very high prices for probably what I would argue is more mediated returns. They're not looking for the alpha returns anymore. They're looking for, 10% for a pension fund who is looking at an opportunity cost. And then you have funds like ours, which are more focused on a thesis and on the right price and on driving that big return, right, for a company. And so I think you've got this dynamic that wasn't really there before. Kind of where VC is in the ecosystem has changed a little bit. Who the key real venture players are is changing. But you'll always have those guys around the table.
What is your fund size right now?
We manage, our assets under management are about $500 million. Our current fund is 160, and we invest out of that, because we also have an opportunity vehicle, about 250 million out of that fund.
So we've talked about your size funds. We've talked about the very large funds. How do you view the lower end of the spectrum? The market is full of solo GPs and little funds, 10 million, 25 million, sub 50 million funds. How do you view those and what's changing in their world?
I think, and I'm not sure this is a conscious decision, I think it's a lot of people very excited about venture coming in with their expertise, trying to invest. But from a thoughtful approach, which I think several of them are taking, but from a planning what you're doing here approach, I think that what's happening is if you look at the market nowadays, it's very hard to do a Series A. The Series A funds, it's kind of a stage that's difficult nowadays because you've got a lot of high valuations with zero proof points, right? And so seed, which are the smaller funds, is a particularly attractive area because you're in at a price that's reasonable at an earlier stage, or pre-seed also. And those funds are more of the $50 million, $25 billion solo GPs with an expertise or a connectivity in a particular area. And then you have the bigger funds or the medium-sized funds like ours that are going, we still do early stage at SineWave when it matches our thesis, but we may do a little later A or B or C now, right? Because then you could see the momentum coming. And those are the kind of deals that are particularly powerful in a very quick changing environment.
So there is another big, development right now, which is entrepreneurs are bootstrapping very effectively. And very early on, with no outside capital, they are starting to be able to show, very serious traction and very fast growth. So now when a deal like that comes into a fundraising situation, the valuations are very, very high.
That's true, but I would argue ridiculously high in some cases. The one rule I would say from venture is when you get ahead of your skis valuation wise, it always comes back to bite you in the bum, right? I've never seen that.
Very true. This is very, very true. And I want to underscore that you should not raise money at the highest valuation that you can raise money at. Because you're pricing yourself out of the exit market, you're pricing yourself out of further fundraising, and if you don't meet milestones that are that aggressive and that far ahead of the curve, you're going to be stuck in this Dunning Neverland.
And it happens even to the greatest companies. We're early stage investors. We're one of the 3 earliest investors in Databricks. And obviously a fantastic high growth company, one of the biggest players in the industry nowadays, but they're not public for a reason. And there are many reasons, but one of the biggest ones is they were always ahead of their valuation. And the public markets don't play that game, and later stage investors don't always play that game. So you've got to be careful.
And there is a term that I don't know, those of you who are listening, Yanev certainly has encountered, called zombicorn. Unicorns that have become zombies. Basically, they cannot find an exit, they're not growing fast enough, and they cannot raise more money. And this is what happens. Zombicorn is what happens to you if you raise money at too high a price. So
at the end of the day, it's about building a great business, right? All the well, they raised it this much, so we need to raise it this much. Oh, the price is the most important thing. At the end of the day, build your business and returns will come for you and for the investors.
And a little footnote to that comment is that 96% of the exits in our industry are sub $100 million exits. So be careful about raising so much money that prices you out of the bulk of the exits. Yanev, switching gears.
Yes.
You've talked a few times about thesis. We've discussed your thesis in the past. Can you summarize your investment thesis for entrepreneurs right now?
Yeah, I'll give you that in 2 parts. Our broad investment thesis, and then our particularly, I know, Shramana, you're particularly interested in the AI piece, so I'll talk about that as well. So on the broader investment thesis, my background is I was a senior guy under Bush and Obama's administration, then at NEA, and I'm still one of the only VCs who was senior at a top venture fund and senior in the public sector. And so we invest early stage in companies where the public sector is one of many sales verticals, and we open up that market. So I always say baby Microsoft, not baby Lockheed's, right? Or baby Databricks, not baby Lockheed's, right? Companies that are commercial where we can help on the commercial business and also open up that billion-dollar public sector business for the same tech. And obviously, AI is a part of our thesis. It's not the only part and has always been a part of the thesis, even before everybody else was paying attention. And in AI, I'd say there are a few things that people should be building towards, right? You often have a lot of reactivity rather than forward thinking in venture, and you have to always be thinking ahead. So some of those things are access and reliability, right? And consistency in that access, right? How does a business ultimately get their value proposition to make smart decisions from the tech that you're providing, right? I always say, nowadays I say, look, if I want a banana, I don't care if there are 1,000 AI developers in the back room or a monkey. I just want a banana. And if you're not selling the business person that banana at the ripeness level, the color, the size that they want, you're going to have a lot of trouble versus those are those companies building tech for the sake of tech rather than for a business use. You also have
Solutions looking for a problem doesn't work.
That's exactly right. I think you have to be secure and scalable, right? You have to be cross-platform. You have to be able to integrate. You have to be multimodal. Another one or two things that not everybody thinks about is you have to be capable of collaborative sensing. So can you develop real memory? Can you become adaptive at the end of the day? Every great startup and every great company addresses a current need, but has a vision for the future of what's coming, right? And are able to adapt in that respect. So if I use Databricks as an example, it was real-time analytics based off of Spark, which they built. And look at how they expanded then beyond that to be able to integrate with all kinds of analytical tools. And then we're able to adjust to AI and create a marketplace for that and move into other areas. But the key thing is they were architected for that, right? You have to architect for a future-proof system. So Shramana, to the point you made, things are moving so quickly that you become null and void pretty fast, right? So you have to not only innovate tech for the markets, but you have to innovate, you have to be ahead of tech for tech, right? Tech is changing just as fast as markets and customers are changing, right? And so that's a new phenomenon, I think. And so you've got to be on top of that. And the last piece I'd say is you need to be built for an autonomous computing infrastructure, right? We know how much you have to be able to access different infrastructure, but also be able to think about what is the most efficient use of this. So you hear about superintelligence, and that is a huge opportunity. We have an investment or two in that space. But you also want to sometimes say, what do I need to actually perform this business use case? And sometimes it's not superintelligence. Sometimes it's a very specific function, right? For a specific set of tasks. And so you've got to really be thinking about compute power, efficiency, time, latency in advance, right? Does what you're building match that business ROI?
Yeah. So, Yanev, I want to make a point, and I want your thoughts on it. We hear a lot from people that, oh, this is just a wrapper on top of ChatGPT. Well, there's a lot of domain knowledge that is out there in specific verticals that you can very well solve with a wrapper on top of ChatGPT, because the domain knowledge is where the real work is happening. And okay, yes, you're using the fairly easily available non-differentiated infrastructure underneath, but it is that layer where all the if you have great founder entrepreneur fits, they're really good domain knowledge, you can solve real problems and charge $250,000, $500,000 for per enterprise customers, or in your one of the things you said, you like governments. We have a company right now that is actually selling to the government, and they are in the process of getting $250,000 beta customer deals. So, but it's a wrapper on top of ChatGPT. So why are we dissing this thing so much?
So I wouldn't diss that necessarily. I think actually technology that understands an industry or a vertical is able to integrate proprietary data is particularly powerful.
Yeah.
I would think the industry is kind of headed in a certain way. The way I think about it is, you have AWS and Azure that are kind of the base behind technology, right? NVIDIA, I would argue, on the AI side, right? And they're essentially commoditized. And then they built these marketplaces on top that provide real value, right? On top of their backend. And so you have things like Databricks and Snowflake and others, right? And then on top of that, you're now going to have AI solutions. In AI world, the analogy is NVIDIA to OpenAI, right? To the solutions that startups are providing, OpenAI and similar, to solutions that startups are providing on top. So those companies will become the commoditized backend, which is still a massive business. But startups should really be focusing on, Sharmana, what you just talked about, which is being able to really provide a solution for a real use case in a particular vertical using that technology where it makes sense. And the last piece I'd say, we do have a company actually in our portfolio called Flurry. And I think the important thing about these wrappers, so to speak, is you need to be able to not only use some of the LLMs and OpenAI and kind of broader information, but you need to be able to connect safely that information safely alongside your own data, right? That immediately drives value for that business because you're making decisions off of what's accurate data within your company, right? And that's where that security, that integration, it becomes so important. So I do think if you're just using AI to answer a company's questions, that's one step, if that's what we mean by wrapper. But on another step, it's actually not only taking those insights, but putting them in the context of an organization's actual info.
Yeah.
And so I think
there's
that's
enterprise
really,
workflow, there's enterprise
really powerful.
vocabulary.
I agree.
Very powerful. Yeah,
I
very
agree.
powerful. And these are, as we have seen in the times of where platform as a service as a category was very well regarded in the industry. When Salesforce came with Force.com, companies like Viva got built for very little money. Viva raised like $4 million. It was one of the most efficiently built companies on top of Force.com. And then it became this multi-billion-dollar public company. I mean, there is great advantage to be able to build on somebody else's stack, especially if you want to build a capital efficient company, bootstrap company, and so on.
That's absolutely correct. You want to be a platform on top of platforms, and that's what we're always looking for, right? Use what's out there effectively and add value to it, right? Add those pieces that really bring value to a business on top of what's out there. By the way, for a VC, that makes for a great exit also. So those are the kind of things we're looking for. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So, Yanev, you said you are investing in superintelligence. Tell me more about what you have invested in and what is your thesis on superintelligence.
So we have one key investment in superintelligence. It's in a superintelligence company, which is founded by the original CTO of OpenAI, the guy who literally started the entire AI revolution. So for us, that's a smart bet on a brilliant technologist who we think is smart about how to architect the future. But what I will say is, like anything, AI is all of these technologies are for a purpose, right? And they're not for everything. So you could use superintelligence for many things, right? And that's doing the management of a broader business. That's really thinking like a human, right? Being able to make decisions, being able to adapt, being able to sense. But you also have instances, like we mentioned, where that may not make sense, right? You don't need superintelligence for specific tasks for certain verticals. You can actually solve the problem more quickly with a small LLM, if you're working on that problem in a vertical way. Because with superintelligence, some of the key things that need to be taken care of are issues of time, the weight of the technology. We mentioned power, we mentioned latency. So figuring out not just how to build something super intelligent, but to actually make it work from a return on investment perspective and from an execution perspective, I think is that extra level that's very important.
So what is your company doing? Is it going for a generic super intelligence, or is it going after certain problems that are very large, big problems, but they are nonetheless vertical problems or specific problems? Like, one of the points that Demis Hassami makes a lot is, the whole AlphaFold project and his vision of curing all diseases within a decade. Well, that's a great application of superintelligence, and nobody argues with the vision of it. And AlphaFold has a lot of the components to drive in that direction. That's great.
Yes. Well, I can't tell you too much about what this company's building. It's probably the tightest lipped company I've ever engaged in or encountered in my 20-something years of doing venture. Because it is the founding CTO of OpenAI who figured all of that out. But I think the premise is, the approach that we currently use in AI is not necessarily the best approach, right? And so there are other ways to be able to build in a scalable, ethical, focused, and all of that pre-done for you, not needing to build it into the system or layer it on top of the system. And so that's what they're working on. But I do agree that AI is going to solve some very, very significant problems, already has. And to your point, healthcare, I think, is actually one of the most, is probably the application, apart from some of the search element of things, that has moved the fastest.
Yeah, and it is unambiguously good. There's a lot of ambiguity around the, moral dimension of AI, but on the healthcare side, it's unambiguously all good.
There's always ambiguity, but I do agree it's predominantly very good. I definitely give you that.
Okay, so what are you looking to invest in? Tell us more about what would excite you in terms of types of companies.
Yeah, so I think, we have to fit some of the examples I gave early on about, the scalability, the adaptability, those are really important. But I think things that recognize that the world is variable, right? And, obviously agentic AI is a hot area. That's the reason it's hot, is because it helps address that challenge, right? So you can have non-agentic AI for, fixed workflows, but agentic, the kind of promise of that is that it relaxes this constraint. And I actually think the tech is finally catching up to our thesis. It's made it possible to use modular components that you could string together with the right data, the right time for the right person, et cetera, right? But we still need solutions that can assemble, orchestrate, plan, secure, observe performance, and then allow you to make real decisions for your business. If you may know, your listeners, and I know you for sure know, that of all these massive AI budgets, only about like 3 to 5% has actually been used by businesses. And the reason for that is because there's still a long way to go for some of this tech to integrate with the real data that matters to that business and be able to start making decisions, right? Learning. You go from information to learning to I would say information to knowledge to like real intelligence, right? And learning and action and adaptation. And I think we've got a ways to go in that cycle. But it's, as you said, and we started with, it's moving fast, right? So I think we're going to get there.
And my thesis on agentic AI is exactly the same as what we talked about earlier, which is actually solving specific problems with deep domain knowledge. And the places where I'm seeing, production systems that are getting paid big time and are actually succeeding in enterprises are where big problems are being solved. A very nice case study is a company called Autonomize that we did some months ago. The health insurance authorization process still works in fax machines. They want faxes. So these guys basically went in the middle of that, digitized that process, but also added agents and automation, kept the human in the loop, but gained tremendously in terms of efficiency, and are getting, these are production systems. They're multi, hundreds of thousands of dollars production systems. We have a company in 1Mby1M that has developed a causality AI engine. They're primarily the use cases where they're making big money right now are in like marketing budgets, campaign effectiveness, multi-channel campaign effectiveness. Unilever is a big customer, et cetera. So, but these are, again, there's a horizontal platform layer. There's horizontal technology, but really the value is in solving vertical problems, business problems.
And that's the key point, right? You can't just go, I mean, Facebook, Google, OpenAI can't hire AI developers. There's not enough of them, right? Thinking that that regular businesses or the Fortune 500 are going to have 1 million AI developers is no chance. And so you can't, and also just generally, you can't go to a customer and say, here's what we can do. You now think about how you'd use this. We're all busy. Everyone, all the people on this call and every human working is busy. We meet tons of people a day. We've got tons of things to do. We're not going to think for you, right? You have to come in and tell me, I have a performance problem or a cost problem. You need to either be telling me instantly how you're going to make me revenue specific to what I think about every day, or how you're going to save me cost, and hopefully both. And then I'm going to pay attention. And your examples sound like they really nailed that for their customers.
And the other thing that I'm seeing, and I really resonate with this angle, is that people are not just selling products. They're selling solutions where they're actually doing a certain amount of professional services to actually implement, because there's a real scarcity of knowledgeable people out there right now. So it's your system, you understand it, your people understand it, well, implement it. Don't get me to find people to implement it. I don't have the capacity to do this.
And it's funny, I always say there's tech, then there's product, then there's solution. And you need to be able to move to the end of that spectrum, right? And that is the arc of a startup, and the arc of a successful startup. And I'd also say to all the folks building things, don't be afraid to bring people who've actually done it. We've had several of these revolutions and several startups you see of folks building things, because they have the technical capacity, but have never worked a day in industry in their life, right? And so bring both pieces of the equation into your business. Talk to customers, ask them what they need, right? Ask for where the problem set is that you can solve. And only solve it if it makes sense for your big vision, right? You don't want a customer to tell you what to be building, but it should inform what you're doing. You'll often hear the same feedback if you listen.
And I think quite a long time ago, this point of view was adapted and validated by Palantir, and they've built an enormously successful company with this point of view, is that they really are doing full solution engineering.
It's funny. So Palantir and maybe Anduril now are the only two counterexamples to what we invest in at SineWave, because we look at commercial first rather than public sector first. But I will tell you with Palantir, who I tremendously respect, that the reason they really opened the floodgates for my business, which is bringing in new technologies to the public sector. And why did they win? Because unlike the big system integrators like the Lockheeds and folks who were providing this kind of information before, those guys would say, tell us what you want. Okay, that's going to cost you $100 million. We're going to give it to you, and you better hope it works. And if you want to fix it or change it, you're going to have to pay us more. Whereas Palantir went in and said, okay, we built this. Oh, it's not working for you. Let's work together to make it work for you, right? It was a collaborative process. We call those design partners, right? Yep. In this case, you want to find a design partner, someone who's willing to spend time on both sides figuring out the answer. And there are some great companies out there that do this. GlaxoSmithKline on the healthcare side is great at doing this. Booz Allen on the kind of commercial, on the public commercial bridge is great at doing this. There are several companies like that are, Home Depot on the consumer side is great at doing this. Really working with a startup, engaging with them early and helping them figure out how to deploy in an enterprise. So I would encourage any of your listeners to try and find those folks who you're not selling, you're working with, because they know the value and you know the value.
Yeah, very good. All right. Yanev, you're staying for a bit with the entrepreneur
Yes,
pitch
I have a
session?
board meeting in a bit, but I'm going to stay as long as I can.
Okay, fantastic. Folks, entrepreneur pitch session is next. We have at least 2, if not 3 pitches. Remember, this is a safe working session. This is not Shark Tank. We're not trying to entertain millions of TV viewers. We're trying to work. So please do not be defensive. Do not be nervous. We are on your side. This is just a constructive working process. If you disagree with us, it's your venture. You do whatever you want, you know. A lot of entrepreneurs have built successful companies by being contrarian. We're going to give you feedback based on our experience, our knowledge. It is good feedback. It will be good feedback that you should consider, and then you do what you want. All right, Ravikumar is our first presenter. Ravi, please unmute your line. If you want to turn on your video, please do.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, irrespective of the places. And it was nice meeting you guys. Even your insights are so valuable. I mean, I can understand the way the market drives and see the things. So I come up with an idea. I mean, this is the hobby project I started like a month ago, 6 months ago. It's a Synch Cycle where it's menstruation cycle tracking. It's an app where it does the menstruation cycle tracking. So, I mean, I'm at a place of developed the MVP, probably months, like 2 to 3 months, will go to the live. So it's a web, online, I mean, Android as well as iOS app. Basically, it helps the women tracking their menstruation cycle, PCODs and everything.
And what are you trying to achieve by tracking the menstruation cycle of women?
Give me a second. So this is not only tracking. I mean, we're going to provide the community. So along with this application, we had the community. So means like health advisors, fitness coaches, it's going to drive the information. So what's supposed to be taken care, because the health is always a miracle, how to identify what's the problem and how it will be.
No, but if you want to build a business, you have to be very specific. In first 30 seconds of our conversation, you should be able to tell us what problem are you solving. Just tracking the menstrual cycle happens to every woman of a certain age group,
right,
and it's been happening from the beginning of time. So that's not news. Tracking it by itself, it doesn't achieve anything, you know.
It is. I mean, not defensive, because when I started with this, I mean, there are apps like Clue. So they does the similar kind of thing in a different way. But where those apps lack of community and community support, where it access to the normal public.
But why do I need community support? I'm playing the devil's advocate. I'm pushing you to tell me, why do I need a menstrual cycle tracker? And I mean, I'm a little bit shocked that this presentation has been done by a man, and I'm a little bit concerned that there's not a woman on this call presenting this.
Right. I mean, I may not be right person, but I mean, when I had that idea to be discussed with, especially my partner, my wife. And so many people track their menstruation cycle to identify the fertile cycle, because they want to see, I mean, at a particular time, they want to conceive.
Fertility, yes. Why do you need community for fertility? That's between a woman and her partner.
See, when come to the yes. I mean, you're right. When come to the community, nobody talks about those things. I mean, they talk about the health problems to discuss. So those things will be provided in the community. Let's say, I mean, this app is live, and let's say, I mean, if I have provided information with a health expert, like some gynecologist saying that what all the things has to be taken care during the cycle. So
what is the business? What is the business? Is it a paid app?
Freemium. Ultimately, it's going to become premium.
And it's not out there yet?
I mean, beta version is ready in Android, iOS. Still, I'm working on it, and web is ready. So making things Like probably end of December, I'll make it as general availability.
So what brings you here? What are you looking to achieve?
So, I mean, I kind of a solopreneur where I'm driving these things. And I am looking for a mentor where it can help me to see the big picture, not at the money side, I mean, at a mental level. Where, I mean, obviously, any app has to be get into the market, requires a marketing. That I will plan. So the mentor will help how we can make and what these things will do.
Okay, well, mentoring is what we do here. There is a lot of learning that you need to do here. You know, to
Yeah, I mean,
understand.
everywhere you will have a learning. A learning is infinity. But at some point, we need to realize, I mean, what we learn and what we apply. Because whatever knowledge you gain, if you apply it, then only you will see the result.
Right. So can you let me finish for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I think there's one question that I would advise you to answer is what turns this app into a business? So
I
let
mean,
me bring 1 second. Let me bring Yanev into this conversation. Yanev, what do you see?
you're asking me, right? What?
I'm asking Yanev actually.
Yeah. So probably
You want
he's
to? His line is frozen. It seems.
right. Yeah.
Yanev, can you hear me? Huh. Okay. Well, you know, my take is that there is a question mark for me on whether this can become a business or not. I think the reason women track menstrual cycle is for fertility reasons. That is, if you talk about a real application of menstrual cycle tracking, that is fertility. So
Right.
your app must be able to help make decisions that are related to fertility.
Exactly.
That doesn't require, you're emphasizing community support. I don't think community support is what is needed. This is between two human beings who are trying to get pregnant.
Right.
And
So
that is a problem where there is need, in my opinion. And I don't know the competitive landscape. You need to provide a competitive landscape. You need to do the competitive landscape analysis, and you need to. Freemium is very difficult business to build. I don't know what your personal situation is. Freemium converts at, if it's tremendously successful, it's a 4% free to premium conversion. And this app is, you're not going to be selling it for a lot of money. People are not going to pay a lot of money for this app. So for a freemium business at those kinds of conversion rates, 4% is like huge, astronomical. Your conversion rate is probably going to be, 0.3%. And at those prices, at that price point, at those conversion rates, building a business out of this that can be a profitable high growth business, or even a profitable business, even if it's not high growth, it's going to be very, very difficult.
Sure.
So if you're looking to learn how to build a business, this is a very good place to do that. Let's just hold on. I will explain how to use 1M for your purpose, for accessing mentoring and curriculum and so forth. You do have a lot of stuff to learn. You can learn in the context of this building this business. Absolutely, that is absolutely correct. But there are serious question marks against whether this can be a viable business. And what does it require? What does it need to be to become a viable business? And then you have all these slides. This is highly unprofessional, right? You have all these slides that make no sense. You have lorem ipsum in them. It's highly disrespectful to come to a session like this and present that. This is just not a good thing. And you said you haven't yet started the business and you're putting numbers 1 year, 3 million raise. What is this?
See, I mean, I did send these slides. The last 4 slides are by mistake. Those are not relevant to this.
But these are your slides?
I mean, I did send these my slides, but last 4 were accidentally I sent. Those are not. Those are not belong to this.
Okay, I'm going to move to the next presenter.
Yeah, sure.
Lumiera is Maryam's, right? And
Yes,
you want to use a different version of your slides.
Yes. this is the first version. If you could give me the second version, that would be great. And while you're looking, I want to introduce myself as well.
You know, I think you're gonna have to do it with, I don't see your, see another version of your slides. So let's just work with what you have here.
It's actually very, very different. So if I could just get my second version of slides, because I reworked it almost completely.
So, Maureen, I don't see her slides. It's not in my slide deck.
Can I put it in here? Oh, no, I don't think I can send it in here. I could try to resend that really quick.
Hold on. Maureen is trying to figure it out.
Okay, sweet. Perfect. Okay, here we go. Here are my slides. So my name is Maryam, and I've been working as the Tantra practitioner, and as well I have education in biology and neuroscience. And so I've been building Lumiera, which is the first women's health platform that turns pleasure and psychointelligence into a daily wellness system. Next slide. And so the problem that I've been solving, and this is after talking to over 100 women, and as well as interviewing in depth over 20 women and creating content for several years with 200,000 platform. So what I found is that women learn to track our cycles, but not to feel it. And the way that we learn how to manage stress is much more through like not doing different things, rather through the pleasure, which is the body natural regulator. And another problem is that couples crave connection but lack embodied tools for it. Next slide. And so these are just some statistics that 80% of women experience cycle-related mood swings and fatigue, and 70% struggle with low libido and emotional numbness. And then just like we do have a lot of different platforms that access that and a lot of different tools, but what we do is like that we track symptoms and not sensations. And so as a result, we have a lot of people who experience, especially women, who experience exhaustion and hormonal imbalance, emotional and relational distance, despite like such a wide range of all of the products that is available to us in the market. Next slide. And so the solution is Lumiera is building the next evolution of women wellness, which is an app and a community that use breath, movement, and psychointelligence to train the body for joy, vitality, and connection. So like if you can imagine like Calm meets Flow meets Peloton, and that is designed specifically through the lens of a feminine pleasure. Next
and
slide.
it is an app, yeah? This is also an app.
I see it as that multi-platform that combines both in-person experiences, app, physical products. I have several journals for tracking for people who prefer not to use app, and an app included with that. So
again, how are you making money?
Through.
Is this a business? Are you trying to build a business?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Then it's a fair question. How do you make money?
Through the subscriptions and through the product sales, through the events, and trainings for people. So there is multi-stream of different products and different services that we're going to be selling, as well as that we're going to be collecting a fair amount of data that is both like very granular data and as well like more expansive through the journaling. This is the market size. I'm not going to go deeper into that.
No,
Yeah.
hang on. I do need to go deeper into this. And this
Okay.
is for you and for Ravi. Market size, when you put 5.6 trillion global wellness market, 51 billion FemTech market, 25 billion sexual wellness market, all these numbers are irrelevant. Never put these on slides.
Okay.
The thing that is relevant for you guys, for everybody actually, is what we call bottom-up TAM analysis. So among the things that you need to learn is how to develop bottom-up TAM analysis for your specific business. And bottom-up TAM is built with your business model, your pricing model, and the market size of your product based on what customer profile you are going after.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that requires pretty precise positioning and then deriving a bottom-up TAM analysis based on that. So we have curriculum material to teach you all that. So you're very welcome to use the curriculum or and learn all this, but never put $25 trillion market and all this is, nobody takes you seriously. The minute you put something like that on a slide, people stop taking you seriously. So never.
I understand.
Everybody who's listening today, never ever put these pie in the sky numbers on your slides.
I totally understand. But I think this is like the problem like that I probably struggle the most because like I am not a finance major. I'm much more on the product development.
Well, you have to, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn how to be an entrepreneur, right? You have to learn you have to kind of get a very efficient entrepreneurship MBA. You don't need to go to school for it. We can give you that. We can teach you all of the pieces, but you do have to put in the time to learn the methodology of how to build a tech or tech-enabled startup. Yeah?
Absolutely.
So what is the status? Do you have a product? Do you have an app out there right now?
So I have an app prototype, and I have a pretty sufficient following that I've been building. I have around 200,000 people. I plan first to launch a circle before, like while working on the app, and that's gonna be online events. I have 300 people that is already pre-registered for the All Circle, which is gonna be a bi-monthly event.
And where, so your 200,000 followers are in a particular geography where you are located? Where are you located?
Oh, well, I mean, I've been traveling, but most of my followers are in the United States, yes. And
you are based in the US?
I've been traveling over the last couple of years, but yeah, I'm a US citizen and resident and everything and living in upstate New York. Yeah.
But it's not like one local geography where your followers are. They are all over the US.
They a little bit all over, yes, but like I would say that about 40% are in the United States, 80% to 90, like between 80 and 90 based on the platform are women. And I have a fair amount in UK and Australia, South Africa, like a little bit all over, but like about 40 is in US, and this is the business model. So app subscription, the All Circles, I have digital and physical journals that are not published yet, but I have them. And
these are dollar figures? These are $27.99 is dollar figure?
Yes. And seminars, and I plan to train to do trainings for that, and then there is an opportunity to start studios like in the way that you have Pilates studios, but for this specific method.
Okay, all right, so that's your you're kind of trying to do a content community, context specific content community app, etc. commerce. And that's fine. That's fine. It's a question of where you're going to get the traction. It sounds to me, if I'm listening to you correctly, it sounds to me that you are starting to do seminars and retreats where you're getting the bulk of the money right now.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's a good point to build. And how much are these people paying? They're paying $300 to $4,000?
Correct. Yes. And so are you familiar with, it's called Life Force Academy. It's a Kundalini yoga school. And actually me and my partner have been following it for a while. So that's basically how they started as well too. Like they were teaching in the festivals and teaching different events. And then they have online school. And they are doing really good because they have, I don't know, I would say over 100,000 subscribers that are paying subscribers. And they charge $44 a month. And we've been their subscribers for the last 6 years. And I think that like what I offer is something very unique and very special because it is the sequences that are designed specifically around female pleasure, which is and I've been like just recently I posted not a sequence, but like a few movements from the sequence that I've been developing, and it has like over 100,000 views several times that I already posted it, and yeah, which I think like that it shows that there is an interest. It's just I need the right positioning for this, so it does not look like vulgar or anything, because there is a school that does amazing, like they from Eastern Europe, and I was born in Eastern Europe. This is like the prototype of an app that I've been building, only front end, there is no back end in it. So back to like the lady that's been doing, it's like pelvic fitness exercises, and they do amazing. Like they have millions of subscribers, they have hundreds of thousand people in their chats. Like they make good money from it, but like I think like that they look pretty, it's kind of vulgar, and then like you also like deal with a lot of things that I don't think it's super scalable. Like I want to like stay a little bit more discreet and wellness, health oriented, pleasure oriented, but not so like forward as they do.
So there is clearly two parts to your business. There is the in-person retreat and seminar kind of business, and then there is some of these online courses, online apps, subscription, etc., which is a content business effectively, it sounds like. So you have to learn how to build these kinds of businesses, piece by piece, and again, what I told Ravi applies to you as well. Freemium subscriptions are very, very difficult to build businesses with. I think you will succeed more with your seminar business or retreat business than app businesses. Even though the example you gave me of Kundalini yoga, somebody is building a business with $44 million paying subscribers. Are you sure it's million paying subscribers?
No, I didn't say million. I said like over 100,000 paying subscribers, which is like still a pretty good money.
Very good. For 100,000 premium, paying subscribers at $44
and they
per
also
month
sell
is
like
pretty
courses and they sell retreats and other things too. So like they're doing really, really good.
But Kundalini yoga is a much bigger and much better known concept around which to build that. Right here, you want to, Tantra is much less well known and much less.
I just want to position it as the Tantra. That's kind of the thing. Like I want to position it as like more like a new style of yoga, like an all yoga, like the pleasure-based yoga.
That positioning is going to require work. So you absolutely need to learn how to do positioning work and get to something that you can build this around, because that Kundalini yoga does not require positioning. Kundalini yoga is an understood form. There are people who are looking for Kundalini yoga. The problem you have, the thing is, if nobody's searching for you, you will not be able to, build something that really works well. Kundalini yoga people are looking for, right? It's an well understood thing. So when you're trying to create a new category, it's a much more challenging thing to do than creating something that people do understand, that already has, traction. So hold on, I will explain to you. Both you and Ravi have to really think through how to do this piece by piece, and what is the strategy that is going to help you build these businesses. And at some level there, you come from very different parts of the world, but it sounds like accidentally, coincidentally, today both of you arrived at this session with ideas for female health, menstrual health, sexual health.
No, it's so similar. And if you just give me a second, I actually because you kept asking Ravi about this question, why community, why community, why community? I interviewed over 100 women to actually figure out that question. And what I've learned is most of women learn about menstrual health, not as much from a trusted sources, but from the community, from their sisters, from their mothers, from their best friends, from their older friends. And then there is much more trust in that. And then there is a desire for their menstrual cycle to be a part of the something that they actually connect to with other women. So this is what I've learned. It might be a bit biased, based on the people in my specific network that I talk to, but I try to be, as as random as I possibly could in finding those people.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is a community element to it, but I think both of these categories, menstrual health and fertility, as well as female pleasure, these are also things that are deeply private and deeply personal. So do people really want to discuss this in community? I don't know. You have to check, you have to validate all these assumptions before, making these leaps into building huge community and so forth. I'm not sure. Privacy, I think, is a very dominant psychographic in such types of products. So let's
But
continue.
then we also have 70% of women who cannot experience pleasure. So maybe there is a correlation between not talking about things.
Just because there's a problem doesn't mean they're going to be willing to talk about that with other people. So it's a subtle, complex problem that you have to crack somehow.
Yeah.
So, but if you can give people one of the things that is great about a chat GPT or any LLM is that it offers you privacy to do something with a coach, somebody who's potentially knowledgeable, and you can, rather than community, what you want is personalized tutoring or personalized coaching. That may be a better format for both Ravi and you to think about. And in terms of how to think about this may be a better way to think about this.
That's a good idea. Though I do think there is something very special in being able to be with another person, because we have the neurons that mirror another person. So we co-regulate with another's. And I've been leading women's circles where we actually talk about what does it mean
and
to experience.
If it's structured as a retreat or a seminar, then people are coming prepared to meet other people and talking with other people. So that's fine. Ravi, I think you wanted to say something on this topic. Please go ahead.
No, I mean, when I added a community for an app, I thought, let's say if you take Twitter, if you take Reddit, everything is like a community. So they're having an open form of discussion. They bring up the point and they'll have the discussions.
Yeah, but these are highly private things that people do not necessarily want the breadcrumbs of what they're talking about publicly
The
available.
point is valid. The point is valid. And so every side will have a head and tails, right? I mean, the 50-50, the point, whatever you mentioned is right. There might be a people who want to discuss openly, which we were not able to understand. And again, I mean, whatever you said is 100% true. When the prior those things are the people don't want to get into the community, and most of the times we are not sure. I mean, how they want to become up and how they things we're gonna discuss.
You cannot build a business with unsure assumptions. You have to make assumptions and go validate those assumptions and make product decisions based on those assumptions. So you're going to have to, you have to make decisions, product decisions. All right, so let's continue this a bit later. Let me first work with Atiq. Atiq, you are in Australia, right?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for onboarding me on this platform. I'm really thankful for that. In my last minute, my co-founder just ditched me because he's sleeping. You're definitely right. We all are Australian-based platform, but I'm traveling fortunately. So he asked me to pitch this.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Saudi Arabia at this time, so
Okay,
I'm just
so it's a
traveling for
better
some
time
work.
zone.
Yeah, so it's like 7 o'clock here, but it's like 3 o'clock in the morning in Sydney. So in the last minute, he just told me that you have to attend this presentation because I will be sleeping at the time. So just bear me. Whatever I'll explain, I'll try to explain because he is the main co-founder to explain all the pitch things and everything into the market. But I'll try my best to explain the things. Okay, so we'll start. Okay, so we'll start with the just table of content, just like it. We'll start with that. I'll introduce by introducing my team members. First of all, our main co-founder, which is Wasim Kama. He has like more than 15 years of experience, and he's still working like in Atlassian, leading a team of AI integration and different other teams. And he has worked already in different countries over all the world. Next, our co-founders like Shoaib Shafiq. He's also a senior engineer at one of the government entity in Australia. And he's also working on compliance requirements in one of that government organization. Myself, Atiq Khan, I'm working as a senior data scientist and I have also more than 10 years of experience in data science and software engineering. I've been working in different domain sectors like in healthcare, hospitality, and banking systems. So this is all about our team. Okay, so I'll just come on the problem. So I'll just explain what we have built. Sorry, I think my voice is repeating.
Is it?
I think so.
It-
I think it's fine now. Maryam was not here. Okay, all good. Okay, so we have already built our MVP product, and we call it like Enterprise AI Governance and Compliance Platform. Okay, so what problem we actually were looking for that product? So there are like heaps of AI agents and AI, models which everyone is working on, but they don't have like the organizations. They don't have a control over the AI models. Again, they don't have administrative control. They don't have any compliance control. They don't have any governance control. Again, they use different models. They don't know about the costing. For example, they use different models providers. They use different providers like the high priority models. They don't use like the low cost priority models. So they don't know about the costing. So that adds up like in their day-to-day activities. Then again, there's no data governance when you're using a AI platform or there's any models which you are working on. So there's no data governance. You can't control that model by using like customized commands or prompts. And you don't have a monitoring again, and you don't have a compliance like EU Act or Australian Act or US Act. So they don't have a compliance architecture where they can just say that we want to send this prompt, but we want to send this prompt before our system leaves that prompt. It should be compliant with our systems. It should be compliant with our policies. It should be compliant with our regulations. So that was a problem we came up, like there's no a system which can govern all this compliance and governance platform. So we have to build that platform where we can, control the AI prompts before sending it to the LLM models. So we can control it, we can cost routing it, we can just, compliance it, we can manage it, we can, use the standard, like EU and AI Act, Australian Acts, before leaving the prompt from a product.
Is
So,
this
okay,
so?
sorry.
Do you have? I know you're not the entrepreneur, main entrepreneur behind this. You're probably not thinking about all the market entry strategies, but is there a particular segment of the market that you're trying to do this for?
Yes.
Because
So
for example, just to give you the context, and by the way, your partners are going to be listening to the recording, so I'm going to leave you, the questions for them to
yes,
think about as well.
yes,
There are different kinds of regulatory frameworks around different industries. Like
yes,
in the US, and for healthcare, for instance, HIPAA
yeah,
is the regulatory framework. So
yes,
depending on which segment of the industry you want to go in through, there
yeah.
will be a regulatory framework around that, and your compliance has to work within that regulatory framework. So have you chosen a industry sector that you want to
Yes,
penetrate?
definitely. So, yeah, definitely. So we will start with the healthcare and the different marketing agencies, and also like the FinOps. But what we have done, we have a different use cases. So we can design the use case based on the market. So that use case will have a predefined regulatory model, and that would fit into that industry and into that segment. So that's what we have done in our MVP. We have different use cases, and we can configure that use case
So
based on
that's
the.
exactly the question I'm asking. You don't know the answer to that question is what I'm assessing. So the people who
Okay.
will be listening
Yes.
to the team members who will be listening to this afterwards,
Yes.
you do need
Yes.
to pick, because your workflow and everything is going to be very, very different depending on which industry
Yes.
segment you're going through. So
Okay.
that's one. The second thing is, I've talked about this earlier. You may have heard this in
Yes.
my
Yes.
previous two conversations. You need
Yeah.
bottom-up TAM analysis. $65 billion TAM is not a
It's just like
defensible TAM.
IT market, and then we just subset it off
Yeah.
like from the IT market into the
So
AI and.
this is not the way to calculate market size. Please do the curriculum material on market sizing and do bottom-up TAM analysis.
Yeah.
This is a very important thing to get right, is bottom-up TAM analysis.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so do you have customers already, or is it just
So
being?
we just started to have a pilot programs. So some of the organizations in Australia, they started doing working on this pilot programs, and they will definitely issue a feedback on our MVP. And we definitely looking like more pilot programs in near future. And we for this slide, like we already have a go-to-market strategy. Like within the 6 months, we just want to have a startups and pilot programs who start working on our MVP. And then next 6 to 12 months, we will just expand it to the financial services, including the healthcare or the government organizations. And then 18 plus,
And
we'll
that
just
is
scale it
not
up.
that is not the way to build this business. That is what I'm telling you. That my feedback is that if
Yep.
you're going to work within a regulatory environment, you have to choose which regulatory environment you want to work with, where and under what industry sector. This is basically spray and pray. Spray and pray
Yep.
is not positioning. You have to learn how to position a business. We can teach
Yep.
you how to position a business, but you have to learn how to position a business. This is not the way to build a business.
Yes, yes, we definitely
That's my feedback.
align. Okay.
That's my feedback. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any other question?
No, at this moment, actually, we are just looking for obviously, we need someone to align ourselves so that they can just put our into a, perfect direction. Like, as you said, like we have to, find out the segments, we have to find out all other things. So we just need someone who can mentor us, and they can
Of
just
course.
put us into the right direction. Yeah.
So let me explain to you how to use 1 million by 1 million, our mentoring program, curriculum, etc. And then you can decide if you want to join the program. You're very welcome to, obviously. So everything you can find about 1 million by 1 million, you can find everything at 1Mby1M.com. The AI mentor is on Delphi.ai. Maureen will cut and paste this link in the public chat, and you can get started with this right away. Ask your partners to look at this. You can ask as many questions as you want. The AI is also going to start giving you a framework. Okay, my AI mentor is trained in my framework. So Ravi, Maryam, if you start working with the AI mentor, it will also start giving you questions and frameworks that will start tightening up your strategy. So it's okay if you want to just start getting going with the AI mentor, that's fine. The full acceleration program that includes online mentoring, like what we started doing today on a weekly basis, is part of 1M Premium. So you're very welcome to join 1M Premium. It is a $1,000 annual membership fee program, and you can come talk to me on a weekly basis. We have the full curriculum available within 1M Premium. When you are ready for it, if you so desire, the investor introductions are also part of the premium program. But for the stage you are in right now, the most important is for you to get curriculum and mentoring. And you can also get the AI mentor going, that kind of works with you on a regular basis. You guys need a lot of mentoring at the moment to get to the next level. If you just want to access the curriculum, there's a way to do that. That's $99 a month, 1M basic. That's curriculum only, and you can also get started with that. Just spend a lot of time studying the curriculum, because there's a lot of pieces that you need to learn, not just market sizing. You need to learn positioning. For Maryam and Ravi, in the curriculum, there's a section called e-commerce. And there's a framework that I use, Web 3.0 equals 4C plus P plus VS. There's a whole framework within e-commerce that I use for coaching entrepreneurs that would apply directly to your situation. So, doing curriculum work is really important. So go to the website, look around what to expect from premium, what to expect from basic. These roundtables, you can pitch once. I can mentor you once at these roundtables. So those of you who are listening today and are planning to come to a follow-on session, please, by all means, sign up, and Maureen will find you a slot in one of the upcoming sessions. It's November 20th is our next session, and then we have 3 in December. So there's still 4 more sessions this year, and I will be happy to, mentor you for free at one of these roundtables. And those of you who have already had a free session, you're very welcome to join the program as well, the premium program, or any of the programs, basic, AI mentor, anything you feel comfortable getting started with. Get started so that you can start, learning how to tighten things up. Your strategy is right now too broad. If any of you have any question about the program after this show today, Irina is your contact, Irina Patterson, irina@1mby1m.com. I am ready to take more questions. So any of you, if you have more questions, I can take it now. I will also take questions from the public chat. Yes.
Okay. So I would like to ask, do you have different timings for these round-table sessions? Because we already based in Sydney, so it's a bit difficult, 3 a.m. in the morning to join.
So not every week, but on an as-needed basis, we offer California time evening, which is your morning time roundtables as well. So when we have
if we go for go ahead. Sorry.
When we have members from Singapore or Australia or New Zealand or Asia, Japan, etc., we on an as-needed basis, we give them slots in the.
If we go for premium subscription,
only
we
in the
can
premium.
sort out the timing. If you go for the premium subscription,
Yes, that's
cool.
right.
Yeah.
Now the
cool.
AI
Thanks.
mentor is 24/7.
Okay.
So
No,
that
but
one
like
you can do.
if you want to go like 1-to-1 sessions with you,
Yes.
we can just sort out the timing, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
cool. Thanks.
Okay. It's not, by the way, Atiq, it is not one-on-one sessions. Everything is roundtables, the same format as this. One-on-one mentoring is much more expensive. That's $1,000 an hour.
Oh, okay.
That is on your schedule, but that's not part of premium. Premium is
Okay.
also roundtables, but we do move our roundtables around to suit different geographies as needed.
Okay. Makes sense. Thanks.
Sure. Any other questions? Ravi, Maryam, anybody in the room who hasn't asked questions yet?
No questions from my end.
Okay, good.
I'm curious about the AI mentor.
Yeah.
Can you just tell a little bit more about this? Because I followed the link and it says that it trained on your
Methodology, yes. My methodology, my curriculum. So for example, we just talked about market sizing, right?
Yeah.
If you upload your deck, you can upload your slide deck to the AI mentor and ask questions. So if you upload your deck and ask the AI mentor to give you an assessment, it will give you an assessment. It cannot read image, by the way. It'll have to be in text.
Okay.
You know, so if you give it text to work with, you can ask like, how do I calculate bottom-up TAM for my business? You know, how do I position my business? Help me position my business. Things like that. It will dialogue with you and coach you as you go along.
Gotcha. And this like model that is trained on your specific methodology.
On my specific methodology, yes.
And
it is not generic. It is trained on my methodology.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right, well, it looks like people are done. We will see you next week. And meanwhile, make lots of progress and good luck.
Thank you.